Hello, everybody, and welcome to Revisiting Disney. This is the series in which I take suggestions from you as to what to revisit, and I sort of play armchair Imagineer. I pretend that I am an Imagineer who is tasked with replacing the attraction, and I try to come up with an idea of what could fill its place. Now, it's a fun, creative game. It's not really meant to actually be something that I hope happens to the attraction, and we're going to do things a little differently today. So in the past, I'll usually pull a suggestion from either a comment or a tweet or something like that, and then I'll think over an idea, and then I'll put together the video with my idea. But today, we're going to do it all real time. There might be some editing involved. We'll have to see. But I figured, you know, the whole process of revisiting it doesn't really end up being shown for the most part. I just end up with, you know, the final idea that I give to you guys. So I thought, why not, you know, ask the people here on MC Magic for ideas, pick one of these attractions at random, and then just take you through sort of what I do when I come up with these ideas and how I go about it to come up with some of the ideas I come up with. So let's go ahead and ask for some ideas. Got Peter Pan, I've done that. Kali River Rapids have not done. Soarin' I've done. Hall of Presidents I've done. Rock and Roller Coaster I've done. This is the biggest problem I'm finding is I've done so many of these. Safari, Kilimanjaro Safari. Peter Pan I've done. Let's see. Right now, Kali River Rapids and Safari seem to be the top two. Big Thunder's one. Okay. Jungle Cruise. I like the Jungle Cruise. The Jungle Cruise. Now that's one... Did I do the Jungle Cruise? All right, it turns out I have not done the Jungle Cruise. So here we are at the Jungle Cruise in MC Magic, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to revisit it. Now, I picked this to revisit literally about 30 seconds ago, so I haven't even begun to start thinking of an idea. But when I revisit an attraction, I try to think about not the actual literal surface of the attraction, the you know, the idea of the Jungle Cruise here, you're in a boat and you're seeing animals, and that's cool, but I try to think of the spirit of the attraction and what, you know, at the core, somebody who would ride Jungle Cruise would be looking for. And I think it's interesting because Jungle Cruise has a history in which I think its core, or the roots of it, have sort of changed. Well, I guess not the roots, but the core of it has changed. It started to be, you know, it started as a entertaining way of actually trying to look at, you know, what you would imagine animals in the jungle would be like. Walt wanted real animals, but of course that wasn't very feasible, so they went with animatronic animals. But it was supposed to be this exciting look at animals in the jungle. And then the Animal Kingdom came along and zoos became very popular, and that became such a commonplace that it really didn't apply, and it almost became kind of corny to have all these animatronic animals where, you know, the guides were pretending that it was real. So they embraced that corniness, and they made it like a very sort of cheesy or tacky tour that, you know, has a lot of funny jokes that I mean, I find them funny. So I think really when I think of the Jungle Cruise, that's what sticks out to me is the humor of the attraction. And of course we're in Adventureland, so there's this overall theme of, you know, adventuring in places that, you know, we haven't civilized yet, whether it's the jungle or, well, the Pirates of the Caribbean's civilized, but you have like the Tiki Room. It's just sort of like that nature feel to it. So you've got nature, you've got comedy. How can we put these two together? Now, I always try to think of the low-hanging fruit, and by the low-hanging fruit, I mean like the easy options that would almost be too easy. And I try to think of that because I feel like once I can get those out of the way, I can try and think of something really original. And I think the easy options here are to re-theme the attraction so that it's more like it's based on a movie, you know, the Jungle Book. We've got Jon Favreau working on a new Jungle Book, and then you've got the classic animation. So, you know, it wouldn't be too hard to like throw all of the Jungle Book characters in here, make it kind of funny, and then there's your updated Jungle Cruise. But I think that's a little too easy. I think we got to come up with something a little bit different. So, sticking with humor and adventure. How do you go about humor and adventure? Now, I might think of, I guess, like Indiana Jones comes to mind because now Disney owns the Indiana Jones property, and Indiana Jones in the Jungle isn't a stretch, but he's not very funny. I mean, he's got his moments, but he's not the funniest character. What else do we have in the Disney world that sort of involves jungles. They have Pixar? Anything with jungles in the Pixar? No, I don't think so. Let's see. Marvel? Let's assume this would be something where I know realistically they can't put a Marvel ride in Walt Disney World, but for the purposes of the video, let's say they can. They spend the money to get that legal leeway. So let's see. Anything Marvel based? You've got Iron Man and Captain America, and you've got all these superheroes. I don't think there's anything jungle related particularly there. I know the Hulk was in. Ooh, maybe there's some. No, that's not very funny. Although it could be funny. Ooh, okay, no. So maybe we do go with this. So think about it. You know, I'm thinking about the beginning of the Avengers. Doesn't SHIELD and specifically the Black Widow have to go into like the jungle or a jungle-like region to find the Hulk before they can recruit him to the Avengers? And even if we don't, what if we took that and we ran with it? And we said, okay, maybe the Avengers never were in the jungle, but why take the Avengers? Why can't they go into the jungle for one reason or another? And when I think of the Avengers, I do think of humor because Joss Whedon is a master of not only humorous dialogue, but he's a master of ensemble dialogue, which is what the Avengers are. They're a big ensemble. So I think it could be extremely funny. I think we could put an adventure in the jungle with the Avengers. Again, assuming that they legally have the right to do this now in the magical world where lawyers didn't exist and they could do whatever they want. So, okay, let's think of an Avenger ride. How do we frame it? Now, I kind of like part of the spirit of an attraction, in my opinion, when I'm coming up with an idea, is to try and keep the excitement level about the same. You know, Walt Disney World's supposed to be about, you know, attractions that people of all ages can really relate to and ride. You know, older people and younger people. Here's the thing, though. In the sense of balance, we think of Tomorrowland, and that has Space Mountain. That's its thrill ride. And then you have Fantasyland, and I guess its thrill ride would now be the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You know, they just added that. And they have, let's see, Frontierland, which has a couple of thrill rides, but I guess the chief among them would be, what do you call it, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. You have Liberty Square, which doesn't really have a thrill ride, but it does have the Haunted Mansion. Although that's not really a thrill ride, but it is kind of a scary ride for some. And then if you think about Adventureland, I think the most thrilling ride we've got there is the Pirates of the Caribbean, but even that is not very thrilling. So I almost wouldn't feel bad turning this into more of a thrill ride. Because, yeah, maybe it changes the balance a little bit because the Jungle Cruise is very relaxed, but at the same time, you know, there are plenty of other rides here in Adventureland that are kind of relaxed and that older people could go on or people who don't like thrill rides. But here's the idea, and I just thought of this as I was talking about it. Keep it as a jungle cruise. You're on a boat, but let's integrate a track. I actually, you know, off the top of my head, don't know if the boats in the Jungle Cruise are freely driven by the guides or if they are on a track that just sort of looks like they're on a guide. But in any case, fix it to a track, sort of like what we've got here, and use the technology from Dinosaur and Indiana Jones over in Disneyland, where it's a smooth track, but you use hydraulics underneath to create a bumpy experience. And maybe create this like wild ride, not always wild all the time, but it has that ability now, so the boat can shake and it can toss people around a bit. And you're going through the jungle. Maybe you're being recruited as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you have to track down the Hulk who's on the loose in the jungle. And I think that could be really, really cool. Okay, so maybe you're on a boat and it is being piloted by a senior S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, like on the level of Agent Coulson. And maybe that's where you're getting your humor from, right? It's still coming from a tour guide, so to speak. You have a mission, which is to track down the Hulk. I think you have a lot of opportunities here, rather than seeing animatronic animals, which aren't super exciting, and you could throw them in there anyway, but you could also throw in animatronic Avengers. You could throw in Thor and Iron Man and Captain America, and now you could throw in, I guess, Spider-Man, since, you know, it's been recently announced that he's going to get worked into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You could throw in all these characters. You could have funny scenes set up, but you could also have exciting scenes. Maybe at some point you do find the Hulk, and the Hulk comes out of the water and smashes the boat, and the boat shakes, and you know, you get a moment of thrill there. I think that would be a cool thing to do with this. Now, obviously, the chances of this happening are extremely slim, beyond the fact that I don't think Adventureland's really where Disney's thinking of putting Marvel, but on top of that, there are a whole bunch of legal implications that are preventing it from ever happening. But I think that'd be a cool, fun how-to, and I think, most importantly, that's something you wouldn't initially think of, you know? I think like I said earlier, I think the low-hanging fruit is like the Jungle Book, or something that's naturally set in the jungle. But here, I think it'd be a cool way to work Marvel in a different way. It would add some excitement to Adventureland, which doesn't really have any thrill rides. It would still be really, really funny, hopefully, especially if you got like some great writers, like writers from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or from, you know, or just get Joss. Can we just, I mean, as long as we're dreaming, let's just get Joss Whedon to write the dialogue himself. And you can get a really fun experience out of it. And by putting the humor in the quote-unquote tour guide or the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you can get a different experience every time you're riding it, just in the same way that you kind of do with the Jungle Cruise now. So there you have it. That's not only how I would revisit the Jungle Cruise, that's sort of a peek into how I go about revisiting these attractions. Let me know if you like it. If you like the idea, if you like the idea that I brainstormed in the actual video, maybe I could do more of these, or maybe I'll go back to a more shorter version where I just sort of give you the idea that I've already thought of. And if you have an idea for something you'd like to see me revisit, feel free to leave that in the comments below as well. Like I mentioned when we were picking them out, I've done a whole bunch of them. I think we're kind of running out. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at RobPlays. I want to thank you all for watching. Whatever you're doing, make the most of it, because it makes it that much better. And I hope to see you all next time for the next episode of Revisiting Disney World. Bye, everybody.